Hello, welcome to another episode of Automation Digest. Today we will be going through another DSA problem. The problem is about finding valid parentheses. It is an easy problem. What we need to find out here is if we are given a set of brackets which can contain an opening parenthesis, a closing parenthesis, or opening curly brace, a closing curly brace, or opening square bracket, or a closing square bracket. We have to find out if the input string is valid. A valid string would mean if we have opened any one of the braces, this would be a closing brace for it in the same sequence. Which means, assuming if I have a parenthesis or opening parenthesis, I should have a closing parenthesis in sequence. If there is a curly brace before the opening parenthesis, the ending curly brace should be after the closing parenthesis. It should not be somewhere over here because that would mean it's wrong. For example, the example 3 provided in the question is a wrong input because even though we have an opening and a closing brace, the type is different. So we have to make sure that the type is same whenever we are working with those kind of parentheses. Now, how do we do that? So to perform this activity, let's first understand how to solve it. Let's take a stack first. Now let's assume that we have a string with a opening parenthesis, opening curly brace, opening square bracket, then a closing square bracket and a closing parenthesis and a scrolling curly brace. Let's see how this is going to be resolved. How we are going to find if it is a valid string or not. As soon as we get the first character, let's insert in our stack. So here we have an opening parenthesis placed or pushed. The second character comes in. Is it an opening bracket? If yes, let's push that too. The third one, it's an opening square bracket as well. Let's push it back to our stack. As soon as we get a closing bracket, let's see the first one which is present. Is it matching the type? Yes, it is. So we pop this out or we delete it. Now our first bracket in the stack is a curly brace. We go to the next character. Over here it is a closing parenthesis. In our stack we have a opening curly brace. So this cannot be popped. So there is a mismatch and hence we say that it is not valid. If we get to a point, now let's just alter our input slightly. If we have a curly brace over here and a closing parenthesis over here, the last character, in that case it is a valid because this goes in, searches for a opening curly brace, it is present, so it gets deleted or popped. Once that happens, we move on to the next one, which is a closing parenthesis. It searches for the same in the stack, it finds it, it pops it out. Because the stack is empty and there is nothing additional character that we are getting, we can safely say that it is a valid sequence. Why did we use a stack over here? Because stack follows the principle of LIFO or last in first out. What does that mean? Whatever has come in the bucket last gets popped out first. Whatever has come to the bucket first gets popped out at the last. So the full form is last in first out. A real-time example can be a book shelf. So let's jump into writing the code. So we are provided with a method called isValid which will accept string and we have to return the output as boolean. Now first thing that we were discussing about is creation of stack. So let's create a stack and the data type for the stack has to be character because we are working with characters of the string. We are pushing or popping the characters into the stack. Once we have created the stack, we want to iterate through the string characters and get them pushed or popped from the stack. So we have to iterate from 0 to the length of the string and we have to find out the character every time at index I. Now, once we have achieved the character, we want to apply our logic. So the first thing that we did was pushing things into the stack if it is an opening bracket. So we have to find out if the character is either an opening parenthesis or an opening curly brace or an opening square bracket. If it's either of this, what we want to do is we want to push the value to the stack. Now the next set of characters which we are getting from the string would determine if it's a valid combination of braces or not. In case we get a closing brace on the first go itself, which means our stack is still empty. If the stack is empty and we have received a closing brace, we would directly want to return false. So let's have that condition written. Now that we have moved out the possibility of getting a closing braces at the beginning, what we would do is we would try to see if our character that we would have received is a closing, any of the closing braces, and if so, the stack should have the exact same brace, or rather the opening brace of the same type. If not, we are not having a valid sequence. Which means if we have a closing parenthesis and the stack does not have the opening parenthesis at the top, it's not a valid sequence. Similarly, for the other two braces. Once we have completed this, we would have completed our for loop as well. Now, if we have come out of the for loop, we can return stack.empty, which would be true if stack is empty without any pending braces in it. Once we run it, all our test case pass, and if I submit it, we get everything executed within 1 millisecond, which beats 98.64% of the user. Alright, that's it for today. Hope you liked the video. Thank you.